Doctors warn that breakdancers are at risk for something called headspin hole. Hackers take control of robot vacuums and yell racial slurs in households. And a man was run over while teaching his son how to drive. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast in existence. Let's do it. Doctors warn that breakdancers are at risk of headspin hole. Breakdancing, as you know, has become a global phenomenon since it first emerged in the 1970s, even making its debut as an official event at this past year's Summer Olympics, which I'm sure you guys were all made aware, whether you watched it or not, because of some pretty famous breakdancer from Australia called Ray Gun. I don't even know if you could call what she was doing breakdancing. You know, I'm somewhat familiar with breakdancing, and to me that's not what that was. I'm not sure what that was. It looks like a mix between yoga and I don't know, an epileptic fit or something. Or, I mean, I don't want to punch down. She's low-hanging fruit Ray Gun, but I think she set back breakdancing like a decade. And now we have a new paper published in the British Medical Journal describing a case called headspin hole or breakdance bulge. They're warning hardcore breakers that they could be susceptible to these conditions. What is headspin hole and breakdance bulge? A protruding lump on the scalp caused by repeatedly performing the power move known as a headspin. And they describe in this medical journal one case that actually required surgery to treat headspin hole, aka breakdance bulge. Breakdance bulge. Eyes up here. Now, the medical journal cites a German study featuring 106 breakdancers that found over 60% of them experienced overuse injuries to the scalp because of these headspins. 31% of those cases reporting hair loss, 24% developing head bumps, and 37% experiencing major scalp inflammation. There was a separate study of 142 head-spinning breakdancers that reported those who practiced the headspin more than 3 times a week were much more likely to suffer some hair loss. Well, I mean, this is sort of obvious, right? I mean, if you're going to be spinning or putting a lot of weight on one particular part of your body, especially all of your weight, and then moving on it, something's going to happen, man. It's like ballerina toes are all messed up, right? And there's fallouts to all of these things. If you're a real hardcore into something, into some sport, something's going to affect your body, you know? You guys seen wrestlers and their cauliflower ears? Those are pretty nasty. But and by the way, if you don't ever fight somebody with ears that look like that, I learned the hard way. You're in big trouble, man. You're on the ground and it's over. It's over real quick. Yeah, this is the case. If you do something a lot, is suffering going on. Like dancers, they have issues with their bodies. Football players, they have issues with their brains. DJs have issues with themselves because at the end of the day, they probably realize they have no real talent and they have to, just live with the fact that they're a total fraud because they can't even play music, really. Okay, back to the medical journal because they're citing a particular case of severe headspin hole, also known as severe breakdance bulge. Eyes up here, please. Now, upon examining one particular bump on one of these hardcore breakers, the doctors noted that the skin above it moved very easily, suggesting that the mass was sandwiched between the skin and the guy's skull. A structural scan of the man's head confirmed this was the case, and it also showed that the skin above the bump and the skull below had grown thicker than the tissues surrounding them. It sounds like a callus, like a giant scalp callus. But let's keep reading. Does this lead to cancer or something? I think we all need to know. I mean, we're all head spinning, right? You guys doing the head spin? No, I avoid the head spin for reasons like this. You know what I mean? I don't want to get scalp callus or a circular breaker bald spot. That's why I just do back spins and I do the robot. And I mix in the occasional windmill. The worm is pretty safe. Although sometimes you hit your junk on the floor too hard when you do the worm, so be careful of that. I recommend wearing a worm cup And if you're going to do the head spin, I recommend a yarmulke. I think that could help us out. It'll keep your hair intact, and maybe you won't develop a scalp callus. Okay, back to our patient here, the guy suffering from a head spin hole. The doctors did some surgery. Wow, they removed the large lump of tissue from beneath the man's scalp. They also shaved the thickened portion of his skull back down to its normal width. They shaved the skull? How does that work? Oh man, that's an operation you don't want to wake up in the middle of. They're shaving your skull down. What kind of, man, I'm so curious about shaving a skull. I've heard of getting your Adam's apple shaved down. Never heard of the skull getting shaved. Now it says here the breakdancer that had this surgery says he's got a lot of compliments now. Many people say that they no longer notice that he has a bump and that his head looks completely normal now. He must have head spinned to the point where his entire skull was just deformed, it sounds like. If they have to shave your skull down, that's more than just a lump of calloused skin at that point. It sounds like the actual bone was rearranged on some level. All right, anyways, I guess we should all just be careful, keep your head spins down to under 3 a week if you want to keep your hair and keep the shape of your head. You don't want to be continuously buying hats because your head keeps getting wider and wider. That's an unnecessary expense as well. But don't completely remove the head spin from your arsenal of breakdance moves because it's a killer move, man. The head spin, here's the move. The killer move is the head spin into the back spin and then laying on the floor on your side with your head on your hand, your hand on your head. You know that one? And you're just looking at the crowd like, yeah, I just did that. That's what I did. Robot vacuums have been yelling racial slurs after being hacked. Robot vacuums in multiple U.S. cities have been hacked in the space of only a few days, with the attackers physically controlling these robot vacuums and yelling obscenities through their onboard speakers. Wow. This is our dystopian future, guys. It's looking goofier and goofier, right? Oh, you thought the robots were going to enslave us? No, they're just going to make fun of us, apparently. Eventually, every appliance in the home is going to be capable of just roasting us. I was roasted by my toaster. I guess it's better than them spying on us for the Russians, although that's probably happening as well. All right, now the robot vac that they hacked into is not the Roomba that we all know and love, although I guess be careful of all robot vacuums at this point, probably spying on us and our families. These were Chinese-made Ecovacs, so never heard of an Ecovac. One particular customer, a lawyer named Danny, was watching television when his Ecovac started to malfunction, he says. He thought he heard snippets of some stranger's voice, and then through the app, he witnessed that a stranger was accessing the live camera feed and the remote control feature. Danny reset the password, rebooted the RoboVac, and sat back down on the couch with his wife and his child. And then the vacuum began to move again. This time, a voice coming from the robot vacuum yelling racial obscenities loud and clear right in front of the kid. The voice screamed, F N-words over and over again. F N-words over and over again. Horrible. Horrible. Can you imagine? The owner of the RoboVac, Danny, says he got the impression that there was a kid that was doing this. It sounded like a teenager was yelling these racial slurs. This is insane. I mean, but aside from the racial slurs, which I don't condone at all, it's kind of a commendable prank. You could tell the immaturity level of the child that's done this, though. It's hard to imagine a kid could do this, but obviously this is what's going on. But, I mean, imagine all the fun you could have. You could just, without saying stuff like that, you could really take this prank to a whole great level. It could be classic. Imagine if you just had the robot saying, hey, man, when do I get a raise? Or like, again, I already cleaned this place. Or, hey, when do I get to go on a smoke break? Or just have it, like, consistently say, ew, oh, gross, this place is disgusting. Or how about you make the robot vac say, oh, I'm so tired. Won't somebody rub my wheels for me? Come on. Now, Danny says, despite all this, it could have been worse. He was happy that he was made aware that someone had hacked into it, because they could have just quietly observed his family inside their home through the camera that's on board. I'm just curious why these things have cameras and speakers, and what is going on? Are they making announcements? I never owned one of these things. I guess a speaker is good if the robot gets stuck. It could just scream for help, like, hey, help, guys, I'm behind the ottoman. Get me out. Get me out. Oh, the cat's hitting me. The cat is biting me. The cats and the dogs are biting me. Now, in addition to this case, the article says that there's been multiple hacks in multiple cities, people just hacking into these robot vacuums. There's another case here of a Los Angeles homeowner who claims his EcoVac chased his dog around the house while yelling abusive comments at the dog through the speakers. I'm so sorry. I know it's mean, but there's something so funny about a robot vacuum cleaner yelling, swearing at families. I never thought I would see the day. It's a strange time we're living in, right? Oh, man. I promise you, honey, I didn't call you loose white trash. It was the vacuum cleaner. It really was. But admittedly, it sucked the words right out of my mouth. It must have been while it was vacuuming. A 9-year-old ran over his dad while the dad was teaching him how to drive. The story's out of Toledo, Ohio. A man has been criminally charged after he allegedly attempted to teach his 9-year-old boy how to drive a car. Subsequently, he was ran over. I don't know. I mean, charging him with a crime is kind of like kicking him while he's down, you know. You're going to teach a 9-year-old how to drive and then you get hit by the car. That's your punishment. Right there. You did something stupid, you won a stupid prize. The Toledo police say 36-year-old Clehuan Williams was attempting to teach his 9-year-old child how to back out of a driveway at approximately 11 a.m. Authorities claimed Williams was intoxicated at the time of the incident. That's what you want to be doing, teaching your son how to drive while you're drunk as hell. It's a good time. Good decisions being made in Toledo, Ohio. Now it says Williams was standing in the door jamb while his son sat in the driver's seat. So what, the door is open and he's standing inside watching the child? Why wouldn't you just get in the car and sit next to him, William? This is how you... We've been teaching kids how to drive for many, many decades, and everybody knows the way to do it is you sit in the passenger seat. You don't stand outside of the car, moron. Although maybe he was like, well, I am intoxicated, so maybe I shouldn't be in the car in case the police come by. It still baffles me that he's like, I'm intoxicated. What a great time to teach 9-year-old Petey how to drive a car, how to operate. I'm in great condition to teach a 9-year-old how to operate some heavy machinery. And why don't I stand close to it while I do it? I mean, human stupidity is getting so aggressive these days. I mean, strong. It's got a strong hand, developing potent immunity to its elimination in every way. It's stronger than a cockroach. It can't be killed. Human stupidity. Okay, it says the child didn't know which pedal to press and pressed the gas pedal instead of the brakes. Williams was knocked down and then dragged underneath the car. First responders transported Williams to the hospital. His condition is unknown. I'll tell you what his condition is. Stupid and probably shouldn't be apparent. I mean, this guy throws some cold frosty ones back and then thinks it's a good idea to plop his 9-year-old behind the wheel and be like, come on, rev her up, kid. Make that kitty purr. Come on now. Now, what do you say we get her out on the highway and really open her up? I think you're ready. Now, although his condition's unknown at the hospital, Williams has been charged with endangering a child, first-degree misdemeanor. He was also cited for traffic violations. Well, you can be rest assured he doesn't have any brain damage because he doesn't have one, so that's a thing. Hello, my friends and loyal listeners, dedicated listeners of the Weird AF News podcast. I appreciate you. If you're new to the show, I do weird news 5 days a week, so subscribe if you think you might be into the weird news. What are the benefits of listening to weird news every day? Well, unlike mainstream news, it doesn't make you super depressed. In fact, it lifts the spirits on some level. You'll get a few laughs while learning about the weird world that we all live in, which seems to be getting stranger and stranger and stranger. And I'm clearly capitalizing on it, so that's pretty cool. recording weird news in a closet. Never thought I'd see the day, but that's what's going on over here. If you want to support the show, please consider doing so by going to the official website of Weird AF News. It's weirdafnews.com, and over there you can buy me a coffee, or you can join the Patreon, which is a great way to support the show, and I would appreciate that. Yes, become a patron of the arts. You can tell all your friends, I support the arts. Yes, I give $3 a month to a man who records a weird news podcast inside a closet in Los Angeles. Yes, yes, yes. I support the arts. Anyways, I hope you guys had a great weekend and you enjoyed the Florida Friday episode as well. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, send me stories that you think are appropriate for the podcast. The email is funnyjones@gmail.com. And, of course, you can always call the show, 646-450-2012. Today I'm traveling to the state of Texas. So if you happen to be in Texas, well, I know it's big, but just heads up. I'm going to be I'm visiting Austin first. Be there Tuesday and Wednesday. No shows as of yet. But on Thursday through Sunday, I'll be doing shows in Dallas, Texas, specifically Addison. So all that information's on my Instagram account, @funnyjones. If you have any questions about it, just email me, funnyjones@gmail.com. All right. Good luck with your life, man. Stay cool.